The world's greatest achievers have been those who have always stayed focused on their goals and have been consistent in their efforts. This is the tagline of our channel, the Skybeat Broadcast. I, the narrator of this channel, would now like to take all of you through a roller coaster ride. Hope you all like it. So, let's move ahead. In this extreme tense and difficult situation that is seen throughout the world, when the pandemic of COVID 19 is putting lives of many people at peril, when stepping out of the house is causing a massive havoc, it is very important that we all stay physically and mentally fit. It is important to note that many people are suffering not only physically but also psychologically. The story The Last Leaf, written by O. Henry, highlights on the importance of strong willpower, positivity, determination, and faith, even when the situation around is not at all conducive. The author also teaches us a very important lesson on selflessness, sacrifice, friendship, and the value of life. So, I, as a narrator of this channel, would talk to you about this beautiful story that would try to induce positivity in all, at the same time, also bring a little bit of smile and spice in someone's lives. In a small part of the city, west of Washington Square, the streets have gone wild. They turn in different directions. They are broken into small pieces called places. One street goes across itself one or two times. A painter once discovered something possible and valuable about this street. Suppose a painter had some painting materials for which he had not paid. Suppose he had no money. Suppose a man came back to get the money. The man might walk down that street and suddenly meet himself coming back without even having received a cent. This part of the city is called Greenwich Village. And to Old Greenwich Village, the painters soon came. Here they found the rooms they like with good light and at a low cost. Sue and John C. were two such struggling young artists who owned a small apartment to follow their passion. They were not only good painters but also best friends. Sue and John C. lived at the top of a building with 3 floors. One of these young women came from Maine, the other from California. They had met at a restaurant on 8th Street. There they discovered they liked the same kind of art, the same kind of food, and the same kind of clothes. So they decided to work together and live together. That was in the spring, a long time back. Towards winter, a cold stranger entered Greenwich Village. No one could see him. He walked around, touching one person here and another there with his icy fingers. He was an uninvited guest who had turned everyone's lives in turmoil. Doctors called him pneumonia. On the east side of the city, he hurried, touching many people, but in the narrow states of Greenwich Village, he did not move so quickly. Mr. Pneumonia was not a nice old gentleman. A nice old gentleman would not hurt a weak little woman from California. But Mr. Pneumonia touched John C. with his cold and icy fingers. She lay on her bed almost without moving, and she looked through the window at the wall of the house next to hers. One morning, the busy doctor spoke to Sue alone in the hall, where John C. could not hear. The doctor said,
Hmm. She has a very small chance. She has a chance if she wants to live. If people don't want to live, I can't do much for them. Your little lady has decided that she is not going to get well. Is there something that is troubling her?
Sue said, she always wanted to go to Italy and paint a picture of the Bay of Naples.
Paint? Not paint. Is there anything worth being troubled about? A man, maybe.
To the doctor's words, Sue replied, rather surprised. A man? Is a man worth? No, doctor, there is not a man.
It is weakness. I will do what I know how to do. But when a sick person begins to feel that he is going to die, half of my work is useless. Talk to her about new winter clothes. If she were interested in the future, her chances would be better.
After the doctor had gone, Sue went into the workroom to cry. Then she walked into Johnson's room. She carried some of her painting materials and she was singing. Johnsy lay there, very thin and very quiet. Her face was turned towards the window. Sue stopped singing, thinking that Johnsy was asleep. Sue began to work. As she worked, she heard a low sound again and again. She went quickly to the bedside. Johnsy's eyes were open wide. She was looking out of the window and counting back. Johnsy was muttering very slow and a very low voice. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Sue looked out at the window. What was there to count? There was only the side wall of the next house, a short distance away. The wall had no window. An old tree grew up against the wall. The cold breath of winter had already touched it. Almost all its leaves had fallen from its dark branches. Sue asked, "What is it, dear?" Without paying attention to Sue's concerns and her questions, Johnsy said in a little lower voice, 6. Johnsy again repeated, "They're falling faster now. 3 days ago, there were almost 100. It hurt my head to count them, but now it's easy. There goes another one. There are only 5 now." Hearing Johnsy's weird expressions and her weird answers, Sue was intrigued. She asked Johnsy, 5? What, dear? Please tell your Sue. Hearing Sue's question, Johnsy replied, "Leaves on the tree. When the last one falls, I must go too. I have known that for 3 days. Didn't the doctor tell you?" Hearing Johnson's reply, Sue was quite annoyed and irritated. So she said, "Oh, I have never heard of such a thing." Sue continued coaxing Johnsy. She said, "It does not have any sense in it. What does an old tree have to do with you? Or with your getting well? And you used to love that tree so much. Don't be a little fool. The doctor told me your chances for getting well. He told me this morning. He said you had very good chances. Try to eat a little now, and then I'll go back to work. And then I can sell my picture, and then I can buy something more for you to eat to make you stronger." Johnsy was least interested in Sue's concern for her. So she said, "You don't have to buy anything for me." Looking at the window, she said again, "There goes another. No, I don't want anything to it. Now there are 4. I want to see the last one fall before night. Then I'll go too." Sue was now really tired. She got really tired of telling Johnsy and making her understand. So she said, "Johnsy dear, will you promise to close your eyes and keep them closed? Will you promise not to look out of the window until I finish working, please? I must have this picture ready tomorrow. I need the light. I can't cover the window." To Sue's pleas, Johnsy replied coldly, "Couldn't you work in the other room?" Sue replied, "I would rather be here by you, and I don't want you to look at those silly leaves." Hearing Sue, Johnsy replied rather coldly, "Tell me as soon as you have finished." Johnsy closed her eyes and lay white and still. She was even not moving a bit. Johnsy murmured to herself, Because I want to see the last leaf fall. I have done enough waiting. I have done enough thinking. I want to go sailing, sailing down like one of those leaves. So told Johnsy, try to sleep. Don't think of anything else now. I must call Berman to come up here. I want to paint a man in this picture and I'll make him look like Berman. I won't be gone in a minute. Don't try to move till I come back. Old Berman was a painter who lived on the first floor of their house. He was past 60. He had no success as a painter. For 40 years, he had painted without ever painting a good picture. He had always talked about painting a great picture, a masterpiece. But he had never yet started it. He got a little money by letting others paint pictures of him. He often painted in some commercials. He still talked of his great masterpiece. He drank too much and he believed that it was his special duty to do everything possible to help Sue and Johnsy. Sue found him in his dark room and she knew that he had been drinking. She could smell it. She told him about Johnsy and the leaves on the vine. She said that she was afraid that Johnsy would indeed sail down like the leaf. Her hold on the world was getting weaker. Old Berman shouted his anger over such a stupid idea.
What? Are there such fools? Do people die because leaves drop off a tree? I have not heard of such a thing. No, I will not come up and sit while you make a picture of me. Why do you allow her to make such a thing? That poor little Johnsy.
Hearing Berman's words, Sue was quite baffled. So she said, she is very sick and weak. The sickness has put these kind of strange ideas into her mind. Mr. Berman, if you won't come, you won't. But I don't think you are a very nice man.
This is like a woman who said, I will not come. Go, I come with you. For half an hour I have been trying to say that I will come. God, this is not any place for someone so good as Johnsy to lie sick. Some day I shall paint my masterpiece, and we shall all go away from here. Good. Yes.
Johnsy was sleeping when they went up. Sue covered the window and took Berman into the other room. There they looked out of the window fearfully at the tree. Then they looked at each other for a moment without speaking. A cold rain was falling, with a little snow in it too. Berman sat down and Sue began to paint. She worked through most of the night. In the morning, after an hour's sleep, Sue went to Johnsy's bedside. Johnsy, with wide open eyes, was looking towards the window. Johnsy repeatedly asked Sue to open the window. She said, I want to see. Please open the window. Sue took the cover from the window. But after the beating rain and the wild wind that had not stopped through the whole night, there still was one leaf to be seen against the wall. It was the last on the tree. It was still dark green near the branch, but at the edges it was turning yellow with age. There it was hanging from a branch nearly 20 feet above the ground. Johnsy got really excited when she saw that there was only one last leaf remaining in the tree. So she said, it is the last one. I thought it would surely fall during the night. I heard the wind. It will surely fall today, and I shall die at the same time. Hearing Johnsy's negative words, Sue could not contain herself any more. She almost cried, Dear, dear Johnsy, think of me if you won't think of yourself. What would I do without you? But Johnsy did not answer. The most lonely thing in the world is a soul when it is preparing to go on its far journey. The ties that held her to friendship and to the earth were breaking, one by one. The day slowly passed. As it grew dark, they could still see the leaf hanging from its branch against the wall. And then, as the night came, the north wind began again to blow. The rain still beat against the windows. When it was light enough the next morning, John C. again commanded that she be allowed to see through the window. The leaf was still there. John C. lay for a long time looking at it. Then she called to Sue, who was cooking something for her to eat. John C. understood what wrong she had been doing. So she lamented to Sue, "I have been really a bad girl, Sooty. Something has made that last leaf stay there to show me how bad I was. It is wrong to want to die. I'll try to eat now. But first, bring me a looking glass so that I can see myself, and then I'll sit up and watch you cook." An hour later, the doctor arrived again to do a checkup on John C.
The chances are good.
The doctor, quite satisfied at John C.'s condition, her improvement, and her good spirits, took Sue's thin hands, shaking her hands, and congratulated her.
Give her good care, and she will get well. And now I must see another sick person in this house. His name is Berman, a painter, I believe. Pneumonia too. He is an old weak man, and he is very ill. There is no hope for him. But we take him to the hospital today. We will make it as easy for him as we can.
The next day, the doctor arrived and said to Sue,
She is safe. You have done it. Food and care now. That's all.
After the doctor left, Sue decided to speak to John C. and tell her everything. So, she said, "I have something to tell you, dear. Mr. Berman died of pneumonia today in the hospital. He was ill only 2 days. Someone found him on the morning of the first day in his room. He was helpless with pain. His shoes and his clothes were wet and as cold as ice. Everyone wondered where he had been. The night had been so cold and so wild, and then they found some things. There was a light that he had taken outside, and there were his materials for painting. There was paint, green paint and yellow paint. And look out at the window, dear, and the last leaf on the wall. Didn't you wonder why it never moved when the wind was blowing? Well, you should come to know that it was Berman who actually instigated you to live. Oh, my dear, it is Berman's great masterpiece, and he painted it there the night the last leaf fell." Well, that was the end of the story, as well as the end of her first video. Hope you all like it. And The Last Leaf is a very beautiful and a very inspiring story written by O. Henry. It is a very important lesson for those people who want to die or to end their lives, because life is very precious, and above all, it is important to remember that life is the best blessing given by God, and we should all preserve it. And not only we should keep ourselves physically and mentally fit, but also keep our near and dear ones physically and mentally happy. And one of the most important thing is that virtues like goodness of heart, kindness, generosity, benevolence never ever go unrewarded. So we should try to help as many people as we can in our life. Finally, thank you everyone for listening to us. And please like, share and subscribe for showing your love. Don't forget to put down the comments in the comment section below. And last of all, don't forget to hit the bell button to subscribe our channel. Also, have a nice day everyone. Try to spread positivity around as much as you can. Bye.